who are pillars in PDP.
And who he has described as smart.
And who he described as smart. And equally saying that if any other person sign a document emanating from PDP, they will challenge it. He even said that the fear of people leaving the PDP is that they don't know who will sign document. Which document? Nomination form.
Exactly.
That will go to INEC.
Now,
who said it?
Yes.
Next step.
See what he does.
Of course, Wike is full of antics. I don't know if you understand. But they should close rank with him and see, okay, I am who. Come and occupy your office.
Come and let's see.
Do you understand? And be doing their
let's see if the hailing of Okowa will continue. For moving to another party.
Of course, we know, when he talk, he say, this is what I don't like. I don't like people that pretend. That's how I say. But in all these whole scenarios.
Who is pretending?
The other people.
And Wike doesn't like who does that
people like who does that pretend. But really, right now, you and I can say we don't really know where Wike is. Whether it's in APC, of course. His body and soul are in APC. It's just one leg that he keeps on the neck of PDP because he has also mastered them.
All right, we'll come back to Wike's matter a little bit later. But let's talk about something about building our nation. I made a statement the other day. I think I've made it multiple times that I'm not as much worried for Nigeria because of our corrupt senators, corrupt governors, corrupt legislators and all that. But I'm so worried. I'm more worried because of those that will replace them. Because when you come down to our youth, come down to ordinary persons in the office, come down to civil servants, people want to live the life beyond their means. People want to have extra, unofficial, what do I call it, illegal or some form of making money. Even the law enforcement officers. If I give you power to audit even law enforcement officers, you are going to find lifestyle around them that is more than their income. This corruption has gone down so that it's becoming a culture. But P2B, in his lecture the other day in London, was calling African youth to start the culture of probity, work, and also shun corruption because they are the leader of tomorrow. And essentially asking them to be able to notice leaders who are not corrupt and enthrone them to actually lead the nation. How do you think that this culture is becoming a culture, this corruption that is becoming a culture, how do we start fighting? P2B is passionately pleading with people that we should look at people's record and also emulate those who are not corrupt. How do we entrench another culture that is anti-corruption culture? That anywhere you go to, people say, no, we don't do this. We don't take bribe, we don't give. How do we entrench that? Let me start from you.
Well, it's very pathetic, so many of the things that are happening. Let's use Africa as a case study, the whole of Africa, not just Nigeria. Yeah. Now, but the role that Nigeria play is going to be very large if we can maintain it. Nigeria has the largest black population in the world. Nigeria are the most flamboyant people you can meet. Nigerians are well educated. Go to the remotest part of any part of the world, you see a Nigerian there, and you see them excelling. Nigerian has a lot of wealth, physical wealth, as in human wealth, then physical wealth. Nigeria are the most brilliant. I'm not saying it because I'm a Nigerian. If you ask a Kenyan or a South African, they will say the same thing. We must take a lead. Look at Senegal. Look at what happened the last time. A guy that they put in prison, I think 1 week before election, came out, didn't do campaign. They put this campaign for him, and he won presidency. Now he's the president.
And he wasn't a billionaire.
He didn't have anything. Yeah. He was just an activist. Yeah. Can people win an election like that in Nigeria?
As a matter of the people even tell you, do you have money? What are you contesting for? Even the voters, the impoverished voters.
They will say he doesn't have money.
Tell you don't have money. How can you be competing against Wike? So you want to contest against Wike? Do you have money? It's the voters that will ask you.
Exactly. Now, if we come down to our nation, we must try and show an example to the other African nations. That's where the development starts from. How do we do it? But first of all, Philip normally say one good head, and we have not gotten that one good head.
All right, Philip, P2B tells the youth, you are the future leader, you are the future president, fight corruption first, where do you think the youth should start from?
You know, Obi told them where to start from. 1, education. 2, people development, people-oriented development, people's investment. He went further to say that, look, you must dismantle corruption for you to embrace development. He said that China, Vietnam, and other countries, Singapore and all that passed through this process, but with tenacity and determination, they became rich country. They defeated poverty. They invested in education, people-oriented, they invested in poverty alleviation. That we can do this, like he was saying, we can do this if the youth choose leaders with character, leaders with integrity. This will enable them, the smarter culture, because these leaders that will have character and integrity, that are focused and determined, you know, they will invest these 3 cardinal points he mentioned. This leader with character will pursue them vigorously. We ensure that we have a very robust education in Africa. The youth, the people are invested upon to, you know, to bring out their potentials, and the health sector and every other development will spring. When you do this, the multiplier effect will drive away poverty and it will bring about development, and that will give you a corruption-free society. It's only then and then that you can get out of this quagmire that we are in this continent.
When EP2B was talking to the people, he had some moment of self-reflection, you know, kind of benefit of taking advantage of benefit of hindsight, trying to look at how his own personal personal culture,
journey in politics,
personal culture of paying attention to a kind of prudent way of spending money, ensuring that any money that comes to you came from work. Do you understand how it has helped him to even be in the politics today, and even when he went into public service, that it also helped him? You know, you begin to look at it, this nation of ours, where you find the richest people you are going to point at, maybe outside them, like Dangote them, and when you just step down a little, those who could declare their assets, the richest people are government officials or elected people. Even though their riches are, immediately they also leave office, the thing vanishes away because they were never entrenched on work. You know, a nation where politicians, government workers are richer than businessmen and richer than private businessmen, what kind of equation do we operate? Does it mean the policies, these policies of ensuring that the resources of the people are used for the people, that is so difficult? Would the youth now just sit back until they get educated, like he was saying, when they don't even have power? Or they should be patriotic enough and participate in the government itself by contesting for elections?
Okafor, if a youth today, 30, 28, contests for election, that doesn't mean he won't be corrupt. He already has seen a lot of things that are happening, and he doesn't want to come last. I think the last broadcast we talked about on News Inside was the fact that every country, I don't know whether it's News Inside now or Voting Arena, he said that there must be some little tyrannical...
it wasn't Voting Arena.
It wasn't Voting Arena.
Totalitarianism.
Totalitarianism. I mean,
within the
law, which is there. And you said something. You said within that law, because we have it in our constitution, where the president has to give executive order.
Powers, yes.
Do you understand? Now, when they give executive order, we have to know that those executive orders are on the right step, even though they can be challenged, because it's not all executive orders that can be challenged, or that people want to challenge. Now, we must have that. Until we have that president now, there is no country that is developed today in the world. Talk about Lenin, talk about Mussolini, talk about even America. Lenin moved Russia through force to where it is today. Look at the Maos of China. They moved China. I mean, they instilled, if until today there's a death penalty in China. If we
against
have
corruption.
Against corruption, if we have to move this country to another level, because even the youth you are talking about now, I can tell you for free, there are schools that students don't write projects. The lecturer just tell them, go and bring so amount, forget it. I'll write the project for you. I'm not telling you what is not existing. So somebody that is already used to being written project for even secondary school, there are parents that pay for their children.
We can't remain hopeless. I agree with you completely.
So what I'm saying is that
yes.
we must not have a patriotic president. Exactly. That we have a tyrant, a rod in his hand.
Now, in this having this patriotic president,
yes,
Philip, because I agree with you completely that being a corruption-free person is not automatic because you are a youth.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, one of the most corrupt governors we have were the youngest governors.
Yes.
Exactly.
And there's one time one of the youngest senators we had was slapping somebody in a sex shop or something like
Yes.
that. You understand? So it's not by just being young. And even these boys doing Yahoo, in as much as I do not think their crime is bigger than this one stealing from others.
Yes.
They were all still crime. Some of their mates choose to go and work in the factory while others choose to go and do Yahoo. Exactly. So it's still corruption. It's not because you're young. A thief is a thief. Whether a young thief or old thief, it's actually more terrible being a young thief.
Exactly.
Because how long will you be stealing? So, but now, having this youth get involved in getting the good leader you talk about, who may have the executive authority to change some of these things and also pass down some exemplary life to the youth, what is their kind of, what is their role, what is their duty, what duty do they have to play, you know, in ensuring that the right leader comes, because it's the only nation we have.
You see, in 2022-2023, Nigeria, you displayed that tenacity. When the candidates for the election emerges, they see through the leaders that possess that character, that could produce a leader with a good head to change the mentality of the people. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. You see, what am I saying? The Nigerian youth, when they put on the floor Peter Obi, Tinubu, and Atiku, they chose Peter Obi and on their own form a movement to support Peter Obi. And that,
but we don't have Peter Obi.
yes, and that aligns with what he said about Senegal. It's the same thing. The
question is this:
yes.
No matter how lofty your ideas are, you still have to get the result.
Your question
but
is,
we don't have Peter Obi as the president.
Your question is how we
yes.
did now elect that leader.
Yes.
So I'm saying that, look, the youth to a large extent, when they see what is good, what is different, they know it,
okay.
and they'll follow it. So that's why I used Peter B as an
okay.
example.
Let me give you a lead. I've always said, which is very simple. In a broad way, we can say electoral process. You know, there are a lot to it, but on the election day, there are very two main sides: the voting and the counting. Like you said, the youth did they made a lot of effort in terms of the voting.
Trying to change the narrative.
Yeah, but in terms of counting, because counting stands between you and the person you really voted for. You know, I haven't seen any youth organization put themselves together, you know, protesting to INEC office and ensuring that in the next election, this kangaroo coalition is not going to happen, because they still have effort. The counting process doesn't have to start on the day of election. By now, I'm expecting pressures from all quarters, ensuring that INEC will, at least in all this off-cycle election, give example and commitment as to what they will do for 2027. Today, if I make a transfer here, it gets updated in my account. I cannot go to another ATM and collect the money. So we have a simpler way online where you can do voting or do anything. It gets updated automatically. If you understand, even the IRF that was shut down, they say it has glitch. The glitch it has in 2023 now has gone into permanent glitches. All the off-cycle elections, I don't think IRF has been used. So it's been abandoned. So you think the youth do not have duty? It's not enough to just come and vote, daddy. You think the people do not have duty to compare INEC to come to 2025 and eventually 2027? INEC is still in 1960. Is that acceptable to the youth?
Okay, so let me give you how, because you gave an analogy today.
Yeah.
You talked about the grasshopper.
Yeah.
corked in a bottle.
Yeah.
And that no matter how he hops,
Yes.
over time, even when the lead is taken off,
Yeah.
the grasshopper can't go there
Yeah.
because he feels
There's a
lead there.
lead there.
Now, go back to 2020 when we had the SARS protests.
And SARS protest.
They were hunted down. Some of them fled this country and vow never to return again. Look at Very Dark Man. He's been, flimsy excuse of why he was incarcerated for 5 days. As we speak now, there's a news that came out today that would not confirm of the announced president that came to speak, that he's still with the DSS. We don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
My brother, people are afraid. And who are these people that are hunted down? Youths. They don't want to give their lives. And until they get to that place where they can give their life, nothing's going to change. And you know, I've always said it, the French Revolution that we saw, there's a mob that took over power. Mobs don't rule.
Yeah.
Elites rule.
Yeah.
So they make a mess of it. So if we have that unorganized stuff, it's not going to end well, except it's organized by people.
Yeah.
So if the youth, as we speak right now, the youths are afraid. People are afraid.
Because this corruption is hitting everywhere. Philip, you have always said about one good head, and I've always tried to expand on that. One good head that is ready to put up good systems, so that even when the good head leaves, the nation does not move forward. The nation can move forward. Okay, the youth are frustrated. Almost everybody is frustrated. Even our former EFCC chairman, Nuhu Ribad, who is now the national security advisor, came out just recently. I think that was yesterday or this morning. Came out to say that this corruption, we have to stop going through reactive measures. You know, I've always said that preventive measures will always be better than curative measures. I'm happy they are beginning to think of that. They too are getting tired in some form. But I'm just surprised that somebody who was an EFCC chairman, who probably didn't, it's taking him so many years or even more than a decade to realize that preventive measures are better than curative measures. How do we start thinking in terms of prevention than allowing people to steal money, then you start running after them, and maybe they move to a certain parties or whatever, then you begin to take longer than necessary to invest their cases. How do we move from there?
First and foremost, I want to go off point before I come to the point. Why do I say so? What, Roberto said, I liken it to people who are confused. Because if Roberto was an expert in a financial crime, yes, what is he doing in a national security office? Why is he speaking on how to control financial crime? He should concentrate on securing the country because that's where he is right now. But coming to the
security is terrible.
It's terrible. So it shows that he's not a square.
And he was
peg.
Once the EFCC chairman and never did what he was saying.
So he's not a square peg in a square hole. That's what it means. But take the message and forget the messages.
Yeah.
Now, coming to the point, we've said it here before. I will say it again. When I made the statement last week, I said, my uncle, who I grew up with, they were the first set of NSO that when they were operating, you can never know that they are enforced. And you also said your uncle was NSO.
Yeah.
You live with these people.
You won't know.
We don't even know where they were working. We don't know that they are police officers who do not go to work.
Yes.
We go to farm, we go to villages. I never knew the man was collecting information. So what has happened? They need to go back to the root, the base. They need to let's say, whether you said those days were archaic days, they were better than now that we are having digital.
They work with the best instrument they had then.
So
and they were not digital.
Exactly. Yes. If you add the instrument now to that kind of operation,
no, they would have been
nobody can commit crime and go scot-free in this country. Yes. We don't even need the camera on the street.
Back in the days, we used to have CID personnel go into a community, start living life there as a trader, as a trader,
that's how my uncle lives. Because I'm giving it is a life experience. We in Benin where we were then, before it was transferred, every weekend we have farm all through all the locals.
Yes.
So that we go to Yokoro, so that we go to Ikadolo, so that we go to Igwabazua, so that we go. I'm telling you what I never knew. I never, as a kid, I never knew. But when I grew up, I begin to realize.
My uncle was in there, so I was going to buy fish in Warri, also to sell. But he was working with them.
You see what they were doing? They have agent.
Yes.
Those people give the information.
But if you let
farmers and everywhere, and that's how they gather information to work so that they secure this. So if we have that kind of arrangement, how can the government to steal money to tune of 1 billion? Nobody knows. Where are the security?
Okay, if you let me
come to.
Let me speak on this. There's something he said.
Okay.
I don't want to take the message and forget the messenger. I want to take both of them together.
Good.
Are you listening to me?
Yes.
Because that's why the youth are disgruntled. You give me a message and you are doing something else. They say, follow me as I follow Christ. That's what Paul said.
Yes.
You are saying something and you are doing something else. I think the NSA being a financial expert is an added advantage in this his present job.
Exactly. I have no problem with that.
Let me tell you something.
There are people with multiple competencies.
The DSS still is one of the best organizations we have in this country.
Yes.
But what has
No, the last time I listened to the director talk about self-defense, my respect for DSS increased. I saw a man with high sense of sincerity.
Yes. They're still very good.
Office is human.
Exactly. Humanity came out.
You know, even though the man comes and arrests me today and they tell me, I say, what you did that I like.
Let me tell you what.
Yes, he was speaking from his human part.
Knowing that people have been wasted.
That's right.
Now, let me tell you something. What has happened to these security agencies that are very secretive? It's not only DSS, there are other
no, of course,
DMI. Now, they have a lot of information about individuals, about communities. You think they don't have the information about all these terrorism? The reason is politics.
So now let me tell you. What does it benefit? You know, I said.
So why are they being paid to gather the information if they are not going to work?
Yeah. So what does it pay? For example, let's say EFCC now, which, like you said, the people are beginning to commonize EFCC, which I don't also like. EFCC are putting themselves towards things that are no cases.
Are you just knowing that one?
Yeah, so and by the time you begin to, very soon you talk to police. After all, that's why they brought you out of police. Knowing that this money goes for value before they leave them. At the end of the day, you realize, I was chasing this money was actually for work. I wasted all my efforts. You start chasing another one. This money was actually for services. You lose that. Why don't they have the check prevention at all these offices? There used to be Servicom. Can't they have a way of integrating fully with that? And integrate fully with the internal auditors, such that these days all government payments are online. All government payments are online. So you can integrate this such that they have these checks before the money leaves the cover. So we don't spend the money, EFCC do not spend the money going to hire SANS. Spend the money going to preparing cases. To defend cases are not as easy as arrest. It's easy to arrest somebody, but proving that somebody is guilty takes a while. Why don't we move into preventive measures that rather than being reactive? Can't EFCC really do that?
You said it, and Roberto copied it from you. That's what we're saying.
I've always been saying that.
So what they needed to do, if they want to do their job, is to just sit in their comfort and monitor government accounts and see how money move in and out, and also monitor people and the government officials. And any other person they suspect. You don't just jump to arrest.
And possibly put like EFCC quasi clearance before payment goes out.
They don't need to. That is exposing themselves.
That's exposing themselves.
No, integrate, not personally, by through the network.
So if what we will be campaigning here, what we'll be saying here, we'll talk about the NSO, now the SSS, the way they gather information. If you have suspicion of money being laundered, but you are not sure, instead of, like you said, you go and arrest people, say, they stole trillions.
When you know your investigation is not
complete. So if you suspect, then you started monitoring the account and the activities of those who suspect.
That's right.
I had the money before they will not get enough information to know whether they will go for arrest or not. And we have said it here before that in the Western world, before they bring you to court, the evidence before
it's already there.
You will either plead guilty
or not.
In most cases, they plead guilty
Because you see that the investigation was thorough.
So that they
and the case will not be elongated.
Immediately you are sentenced, you plead for leniency, they reduce your,
and you hand over all the money.
Exactly. But in this case, is that not what will be said? What will be said since last? That's what Ribadu repeated.
Yes.
Now. Say, let's look for proactive instead of reactive. Is that, what is
but I'm just wondering, Kingsley. Ribadu is not that young. I don't think I'm older than Ribadu. And for as long as I was this, our local English profession is better than cure. We hear it. I mean, does it mean that Ribadu is suddenly realizing he was a pioneer chairman of EFCC?
The prevention we are talking about is thorough investigation.
But why didn't he do that?
Let me even tell you something. Instead of coming to tell us about prevention, why can't they just act?
Exactly.
I don't know if you understand.
Playing to the gallery.
They just act it.
Why not just doing it?
First of all, let's start from election money that is even coming. Where all the money is coming out from? Where all the declarations coming out from? All the billions, all the ones that are funded from government wallets, state government elections,
special vehicle,
buying of it. Now you are talking about preventive. Do you understand? And not now all the cars that are being bought for senators, are they constitutional? All if you as a director. In the moment you move to a director cadre, maybe deputy or thereabout, you can say, I deserve a Hilos. Are they in the constitution?
So let's just hope there is more probity in the spending of government money, and also if that will help people, because these days you go to, I don't believe that those working for government should be poor per se. I mean, the welfare of workers should be paramount, no doubt about that. But you see politicians driving Bentley to public events right here in Nigeria, politicians who has not done any other job, who has no any other business, and somebody who also at the realm of power, who could also reach out to EFCC people and probably draw the preventive measures to them, is telling us how to prevent instead of curing. Well, he has said the right thing, like he said. Hopefully someday we'll be able to take the messenger and the message all at once. Let's move further to Wike and Fubara. Wike has kind of acknowledged that Fubara has come to see him, but from the statement he's putting out, it appears he doesn't believe Fubara is ready for real peace. Philip, what do you think?
From the Wike statement, he acknowledged the fact that before now we're wondering whether what we're hearing about Fubara visiting Wike was true or not. Yeah. So he has confirmed that to us. He said, of course, this is not the first time this kind of meeting is taking place, that he himself has actually extended this invitation to Fubara. Fubara came in presence of Makinde, Tom, and others, and they spoke with Fubara, and they told him in clear language, look, try and be humble. People are telling you, be the governor. Nobody is taking the governorship from you. You are the governor. But don't abandon those who work with you. This is the side of Wike. But at this point, Fubara will not be able to say much because the man is actually looking for peace, and he wants peace. When people are presenting their case, they only present the side that favor them. Yeah. So I will not take Wike's story wholeheartedly, because that is the own side of the story. Yeah. Because from what he said, he's still feeling like the boss.
Of course, he's the boss.
So, for him, Fubara has not shown enough remorse, intention for peace to reign. So his statement is too full of arrogance.
Wike talked about, one of the things that has been serious problem to everybody is to know the bone of contention on this Wike Fubara matter. What is the problem? Fubara has not really come out to tell us, but Wike has been throwing a little jab. The last time Wike said Fubara was not following the due process of governance. In this recent time, he has said, when he gathered these other 5 governors, Uguani, Makinde, Tom, and the likes he talked about before, that he told him that you cannot abandon those. Wike is saying so. That he told Fubara, you cannot abandon those that fought for you day and night. When he means Fubara abandoning those that fought for him day and night, does it mean he is talking about probably not appointing them, or probably, I don't understand, recognizing that they did that, or maybe they work for him day and night and they agreed for them to be paid certain amount and he didn't pay that, what could he be referring to?
Well, in my sane mind, there are a lot of things I don't like thinking about.
Yeah.
A state doesn't belong to one person. A state belongs to the people within that geographical region. They have right to the state's resources and services. That's what they can do. Now, the way Fubara Wike takes it very personally, it really amazes me. And it's like nobody sees from that. It has not become like a norm that if I help you to be there, you must now be subservient to me. That's what it has been.
Wike might not be referring to himself. He might be referring to others.
Well, who are the others? Who are the others? Who are the others? For example, he has 27 lawmakers following him. For example, he had almost all the commissioners. A lot of them resigned that were following him. That means he, one way or the other, put them there. He had all the local government chairmen following him. So who are the others? And that's one. Secondly, every style of leadership is not the same. My style of leadership may not be your style of leadership.
But he also said he didn't ask him not to be a governor, but that he should be careful those pushing him to tell him to act like a governor.
It could be that that's his assumption, that people are pushing him. But you know, people have assumed that people are pushing me, and nobody was pushing me. I was just acting according to my conscience. We might have done this together before, but if you leave me on my own, I may not be able to
do it the way
you want me to do.
Okay, now, Philip, do you think the way Wike, has thrown these two lights, nothing more has been said, even though Amechi, the former governor of Rivers State, clearly said that once Wike is involved, there is a money matter. And up to now, nobody has challenged Amechi. That money must be the issue. But putting that aside, Wike has not acknowledged that it's money. Neither has Fubara come to tell us that it's money. Wike said Fubara was not following due process of governance. And also those that work for him day and night, that he should not forget them. Do you think Wike was, in a way, telling him to abandon his own personal leadership style and follow the former governor's own?
Wike speaks in foreign language that we cannot understand, because you just said it. As one breath, he said he do not follow due process of law. Yeah. That is why he's against him. Yeah. Now he's saying that people that labor for a day and night, he abandoned them, because if you say do not abandon them, that means he has abandoned them. So which of them do we take? Wike speaks in mystery. So like you said, none of them has told us what is the bone of contention. Yeah. So we cannot assume, because we are not in their shoes. So the truth remains that the issue of Rivers State is still a mystery to the ordinary man. The only people that know the true position is Wike and Fubara, and maybe those who are close to him. But as far as you and I is concerned, we don't know what is the real problem. Yeah. So that is the way I look at it. We don't know.
People also were worried that Amechi could throw that jab to Wike, that is money, that he knows Wike, that is money. And Wike actually ignored him. I mean, is it that he just want to ignore him, or there could be elements of truth in what?
Of course, I think they have run things together. But don't forget, Wike was the one that stood when Amechi ran to Ghana. And he was the one that fought the legal battle through before they brought Amechi to become
to replace
Omeha. Then also forget that Wike was 4 years with Amechi as chief of staff. And Amechi also revealed that during those years, Wike is a very violent man. He said it, he didn't mind what when I'm quoting him. He said Wike is a very violent man. That it was some of his friends that told him, just manage him. And he managed him for that 4 years. And later
recommended him
to be minister, so that he can leave the state for him. Because I can leave the state for him. He wanted to distract him. But today he said he wouldn't have listened to that kind of voice.
Yeah. So Philip, with this Wike's posture, I think Rivers state of emergency is probably not a popular decision. And everybody is looking at Asiwaju calling that off and probably restoring Fubara. But do you see a sincere reconciliation between Wike and Fubara beyond saving face of trying to appear democratic by making them and restoring Fubara, you know?
You know, there's this saying that when a boat capsizes in a river, you can never get the content complete. That relationship can never be the same again. What you will see is a face-saving reconciliation. Let's just manage. Let's just, for the sake of the populace and the people that have, intervened, let's slip it down. It can never be the same. So I don't see a true reconciliation that will come out of whatever that is going on in River State today. What will happen is face-saving, so that sleeping dogs can lie. But I can assure you that this enmity will remain for life.
All right. We were hearing in the news at the time that Jonathan might contest 2027, but it appears, even though Jonathan is going to do that, the wife is not. The wife says that instead of contest for go back to Aso Rock 2027, that she would rather support Asiwaju's wife. You know, do you look at that as somebody trying to preserve their friendship? Because she went further to say that when they contested election in 2011, that Asiwaju and his wife, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, supported them very, very well. Jonathan's wife says it's turn by turn, that it is Asiwaju's turn, that in 2027 they will support them. Were you surprised about this mortgage of support, knowing that as her left, certainly she's going to have followers and people are going to try to work based on what's her endorsement or things like that? Philip, let me start from you.
I'm really surprised because when Patient Jonathan, when I was really taken aback because we're all aware of what happened during all the trouble Jonathan went through. You cannot separate Tinubu from the troubles. But here comes Jonathan's wife. I say that no, these people are their family friends. From if you read it, so she and Oluremi Tinubu had been friends right from her days as deputy governor's wife, as governor's wife, and all of that. Maybe I am not in Nigeria when all that were happening.
You know, they were closer then. You know, Jonathan was first deputy governor, and later became governor.
Yeah, but they were that. You know, when Jonathan was a deputy governor, Jonathan was one of the most unknown deputy governors.
Yeah, very quiet deputy.
You know, not until 11 had issue, and it was a year to go. You understand? Yeah. And Tinubu was a opposition governor, and this was a PDP governor in Bayelsa State. So I don't know when, or rather it was not, as he's just telling us for the first time.
They know each other. Okay, Chris, let me come to you. This support of turn by turn, as what you say is my turn. Jonathan's wife say it's turn by turn, not minding whether the people said the person has performed or not. I was expecting somebody of support them, but this is not minding whether they perform well or not. You have already said you must support them based on friendship. Now, this support based on friendship, if you can escalate it downwards, it's not different from supporting somebody based on tribe. It's also not different from supporting somebody because it's your church member. It's not different from supporting somebody because two of you belong to the same sect in Islam. So, so why doesn't it look harmless when somebody says he's going to support you because they were friends before Aso Rock? Not because you are going to perform or not. How dangerous is that?
Well, to the elite, it's not dangerous. Except to the people
Nigerian
that they govern.
populace.
Yeah, to the people that they govern, it's dangerous. That's also to show you that most of the way we take this thing serious, they don't take this thing serious. It's just a means to get wealth. As far as I'm concerned, what do the Jonathans, what do they lack? Nothing. If they want to come and play, they want to come and play for power. That's all. The Tinubus, what do they lack? Really nothing. If they want to come and play, they want to come and play for power. Ego and all that. Now, like the analogy she gave that they were friends from where to where? we knew what Alamesia was hunted down by Obasanjo. He was one of the governors that was encouraging
resource control.
Resource control and Atiku.
Yes.
The other time. Anibori. And all of them, they were hunted down. And the Plateau State man, you know, and all that. You know, so we know that when he was being hunted down, he was not so, they didn't support Jonathan for coming in. Yes, in 2011, I know he supported him to come in.
They supported him.
In fact, allegations were the fact that he paid them to take hands off the election. You know, they fielded what's it called, the NSA now, Ribadu, as the ACN presidential candidate. But they couldn't even win in Lagos. You know, and all that. So it's just a friend helping friends.
All right, we are running up.
No, you know, in this topic too, you know, there's something that's also baffled me. Because in recent time, Jonathan has been speaking from the opposite side.
Yes.
You know, he said one party state is dangerous. If you must go to one party state, we must be planned for. And another channel he has said
a man that is sleeping.
Yes, a man that is pretend to be sleeping after sleeping. But the wife is coming from a different direction. What is happening to the Jonathans?
Well, eventually, I think, like you said, to them, it's a game of power. They don't like basic things, but unfortunately, many Nigerians lack basic things. I think being able to provide those basic things and environment for prosperity should be the basis for supporting anybody in a re-election. Thank you guys for being around. We might not be able to continue to have a lot of topics, but the time is against us. So hope you'll be here tomorrow. All right. So this is Matters Arising. Thank you, viewers, for hanging around. We'll be right back tomorrow.